Hi, I'm Danger Dan Jers, the host and GM of the D&D Real Play podcast, D&D Dark. Join us on Wednesdays for an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure, starring some of history's most infamous monsters.
I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, our barbarian.
I am Daniel Cruz. I am playing Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric.
I'm Jordan, and I play Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock.
I am Grayson, playing Jet Griffin, the Invisible Man, the party's rogue.
I am Aaron. I play the Phantom of the Opera, our bard.
For more information, go to dndarkpodcast.com and listen to us anywhere you find podcasts.
Hey everybody, I would like to welcome you to another episode of Pop Culture Gems. This is a series where we talk to amazing creators, artists, cosplayers, voice actors, and so much more. If you like the interviews we do with our terrific guests, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the CFG channel. And we also release this on Pop Culture Gems on all podcast services, or go to our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, to not miss an episode. I am Davis Green, aka Mr. CFG, and with me today, I have an amazing guest. And if you do not know me by now, I have been obsessed with playing one game this past month. I have at least dumped over 200 hours messing around in Baldur's Gate 3, and I've really wanted to talk to one of my favorite voices in that game. She is the narrator guiding you through your adventure, but she has been on several other great games like Malady in Divinity Original Sin 2 and Narissa in Pathfinder's Kingmaker. I would like to welcome Amelia Tyler to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. My life is weird now.
I bet. I really seriously bet. Now, you know what? It's all your fault for it too. So you can't.
I'm entirely to blame. I could have walked away, but I didn't. So I guess I'm just gonna have to deal with it now.
Oh my God, yeah. It must have. Yeah, it must have really been insane. Especially this game has been around, been in production for years, and just to. Yeah. When they said, "Hey, we're going to release this in 2023," I can only imagine what how do you even set yourself up for that? Really?
I mean, you kind of don't. I think that's the way it goes for a lot of actors with games of this scale. Because I've been recording for it for 3.5 years.
Wow.
I mean, that's nothing compared to the devs who've been working on it since God knows when. But keeping a secret for that long, I was quite lucky, because the scenes, or some of the scenes that I was in, were released fairly early on, like a few months after I started recording. They went into early access. So people recognized my voice and I could talk about it. I was given the nod by the powers that be. So I didn't have to keep it a secret for too long. I feel bad for the actors who had to keep it quiet right up to release.
Okay, well,
because they were just thinking that, because I've been in that position before where you're sat on this crazy exciting secret and you've got NDAs up to your eyeballs, and you're like, if I talk about this in public, they can sue me if they want to and take my cats, and I don't want that to happen. Plus they'd never work again. So
I don't know, not the cats.
Yeah, that's my priority, honestly.
Define too long though, because you're right, like you're saying, when you're 3 years is people will probably have to wait maybe, I don't know, 2 months before the end of that 3 years to announce it. What was the timeline for you? When were you able to announce it?
I think I started recording in spring of 2020, and they were released early access. God, I can't remember. Was it June or something that year?
I believe it was.
Time has ceased to have any meaning. It's
that is true.
COVID years. What is time now? It's
soup. Oh, so basically within that year. So it was a matter of months, not years. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. But I've been in that position before where you sat on a secret for so long and you can't say a damn thing, not to your parents or your friends. It's just it's just you and your agent. And I think by the time it comes out, you have to remind yourself of how excited you were at the beginning.
Yes,
You know?
that's very true.
And fortunately, in this case, that has not been an issue because the public reaction to it has just been so insane. I got reinfected with excitement.
Yes, see, that's awesome. You know, it's funny though because like I remember when I bought when they announced Baldur's Gate 3, because Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 had a piece of my like childhood when I was growing up, and I was like, okay, cool, let me just buy it because I thought it was coming out in June that year. And
oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, so like I bought it and I'm like, okay, let's get this started. And I'm like, hey, this game doesn't feel complete at all. And I have so I'm like, I told myself, you know what, my personal rule is I have to play a game to be complete so I can be 100% fair to judge it. So I decided, let me shelf this, I'll wait and then do this. And then when they announced it this year saying, oh, it's coming out in 2023, and I'm like, wait, did I buy this game? And I looked at my list, I'm like, oh yeah, there you go.
See, I'm constantly doing that sort of thing, but that's because I've got ADHD. I think of it as past Millie buying me a present. So past you bought you a game. Well done, past you.
Yes, thank you. I should shake my own hand, my past self's hand. You're totally right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get this party started. I have some questions for you, and see. I'd love to talk to you about some and geek out with you a little bit. So, first things first. Like, what got you into voice acting?
Oh God, I have been voicing since 1986.
What?
I started when I was 5 years old.
What? Oh my God.
I mean, not for video games, but I've been working as a professional actor since I was 5. So my mum was an actress, and when she had me and my sister, she decided to get into voice acting because it meant, you know, less time on the road and you could stay at home a lot more. And it was back in the days when you had to actually go to the radio stations to record commercials. And she got a booking for a bunch of commercials and didn't have a babysitter that day. So she took me with her.
She had 2 kids with you to the...
She only took me. I think my little sister was too young and stayed at nursery or something. I don't know, but I know it was just me and mum. And while I was in there, they went, we've got a Christmas commercial, and he's a little kid to just be like, I don't know what my feet are. Can you, you know, like kids are, it's not like advertising. Can she do that? Can she read? And at that point, I had been in drama lessons for 2 years because I had a really bad lisp when I was little. So my mum had sent me to her drama teacher to help train that out of me. And in doing that, she'd kind of gone, she's sort of good at this. You should let her carry on. So I was just having drama lessons. So reading off a piece of paper in front of a microphone really wasn't scary. So I just did it. And that was it for me for the rest of my life. I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. That's impressive. Like, was this something that you were like, I mean, ever since you got exposed that you just knew you wanted to do that for the rest of your life? Or was it something like, did nothing change?
I think it's more just, it was something I did. Like I was a first child. I was very obedient, which my friends now would find hilarious. I've grown out of that a little bit, just a little bit. But I think it's just, it was something I could do and I could earn some pocket money doing it. And it felt easy to start with. And it was fun because when you're a kid doing voiceovers, you're just sort of bumbling around being cute. They don't put any pressure on you. It's great. And then I hit the age of, God, I think I must have been 12 or 13. And there's a very definite transition that happens with radio commercials where you go from cute kid to, we want you to advertise a thing now. You have to read all these words in this amount of time, and you've got to hit the beats on this and this and this. And I remember coming out of that recording session just destroyed. I was so bad, and I didn't deal well with rejection. And now I know I've got ADHD. That makes so much more sense. But I didn't deal well with failure. And I remember being in floods of tears at home, just not understanding why I couldn't do well. And then, as is my way, I kind of sat down and went, well, I can sit here and cry about it, or I can nut up and make myself good. And so every day after school, I would go into my mum's recording studio and I would practice speaking aloud for at least an hour every single day for months and months and months. And that was it. After that, I did radio commercials. I'd already done some TV. I did a little bit of TV, a little bit of movies, a little bit of mocap training eventually. And it all sort of came together in the end when I found my home in video games.
Oh, so is it just, do you solely do just video game voice acting? You know, I mean, like you would be
No.
or okay. I was like, you don't want to call yourself in the corner.
I mean, mainly, to be honest, I'm very, very fortunate because it's rough making a living doing that. There are not that many roles out there, and there are more these days, but I think it's a commonly spoken about thing now. Making a living through just video game voicing is kind of not possible. You have to do some other things. Unless you're like super famous in movies anyway, that's not an option. But I think the grounding I had in commercial radio has really helped me for game voicing, especially for this role, because like I sight read the entire game. I didn't pre-look at my scripts.
Oh my God.
Most of the lines were done in 2 takes. Most
really?
of them, until unless there was a line that made us laugh really, really badly or had a weird pronunciation. But yeah, I was just sight reading it.
I can even only imagine how big your script must have been. I mean, like for this game, it had to have been pretty thick.
Honestly, I don't know because it changed every week. It would be a spreadsheet essentially, and they were writing as we went along. So things were being changed, or so I don't know. They know how many lines I have. I have no idea. God. I know I had the most lines in the game, but I don't know how many that was. A lot.
It's probably best to leave it as a mystery for the most part. Yeah.
I have the dictionary.
Do you have a personal fandom or something that you like to collect yourself, like on your own?
Oh God, I've got collecting. Like
yes,
stuff,
like
yeah,
stuff, anything.
Yeah,
it could be like
I
bottle
collect
caps
almost everything. No, I collect wigs because I love role play. I love doing tabletop role play and cosplaying the characters that I play. I collect too many things. But when it comes to like fandoms, I love miniatures for sure. I'm a huge Critical Role fan, so I have a Molly Mock figurine from their like the first edition figurines they had.
Oh, wow.
I have one of those sitting in my recording studio, so that watched me record all of Baldur's Gate 3. A whole bunch of other ones as well, like BioShock figurines, and yeah.
Are we going to see you? I just hope we're going to see you one time at Critical Role with you and Matt and them.
Don't tease me. I would love that. I would love the stuff that they're doing, not just with the main campaign, but their Darrington Press stuff is just so cool. And now they've got the animated series happening.
I'm surprised, I'm surprised how they just blew up on like the making of the Vox Machina and all this other stuff. It's just really crazy.
But it's really changed the landscape and opened up that sphere to so many more people. It's way more accessible these days because it used to be this dirty little secret, right? Of like, we play but don't tell anybody, and it's cool now. It's cool.
It was the game of the devil for the longest time in the 80s.
Yeah, but that just makes it a little bit more appealing to some people, let's face it. Right?
That is very true. Very true. It's like, oh, how dare us use your imagination, I guess.
Yeah.
But your wig...
They've been... I found out the hard way that I can't say anything now in public, even on my own YouTube video comments, because somebody was like, oh, this... God, what was it? One of the outtakes videos that I posted. Somebody had gone, oh, that bit there, she sounds a bit like Jester. She could like, if Laura Bailey couldn't make it, she could like fill in for Jester. I'm like, I don't want to fill in for Jester. I want to work with Laura Bailey. She's awesome. I would make a great Ruby of the Sea, just saying. I thought no more of it. And then I got an email, the next day from a friend of mine going, dude, you need to see this Reddit thread.
Oh, no.
I found that, clipped it, and put it on the Critical Role Reddit forum, and I was mortified. It's just the geekiest, most presumptuous thing to have made public.
Hey, look at it this way though. These small little bits and stuff that your fans are doing for you is also giving you exposure to these people from Critical Role. So you should be surprised that you get like an email or something in the future.
It's just awkward, isn't it?
It is.
It's awkward. I mean, if it leads to something, then I guess I owe that person a huge number of flowers and drinks. But yeah, I never want to be that person who's like, I can do everything. I deserve a role in blah, blah, blah. Like, I was dreaming. That was me just like, tra-la-la, I wonder what it would like to be queen. You know, I wonder what it would be like to be the Ruby of the Sea, or just like anything with those guys, anything with them.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're going to.
Phenomenally talented people.
They're not going to be saying. They're going to be like, "Hey, did you see what Amelia Tyler is doing?" It's like she's like, no, they're not going to blame you for that.
Like the mean kids in school. Like, that's what my demons say happens. Anyway.
Are you a fan? I mean, obviously we were talking about Critical Role, but you're a fan of you're a fan of tabletop. Like, do you have favorites? Like any favorite campaigns or like favorite books? Well, like which ones do you like to play? Oh
God, I've played a whole bunch of different systems. Like everything from D&D. I started quite recently, so I played my first campaign last year, and I'm in 2 offline campaigns at the moment, and having so much fun. But I've played a whole bunch of Vampire the Masquerade. I've played Song of Ice and Fire a lot. That's the Game of Thrones game. God, so many different systems. And each of them is really cool. I really enjoy Vampire the Masquerade. That is one franchise I would love to be in one of their video games. If you're listening, casting people, please call me. I love being a vampire. Yeah,
I've heard Vampire like that campaign is really good. But like, yeah, that's great. Like, what about like
who doesn't want to be a sexy vampire? Who doesn't want that?
Well, I mean, for me, I don't really want to be a sexy vampire, but I mean, I'm gonna be like more like an engaging, like one that would just be a creature of the night, like like a Bram Stoker's kind of thing, that one.
Well, I mean, there's a class for that.
Oh, there is.
They've got also, they're not all Toreadors. They're not all the sexy artistic types. There are all sorts of different vampires within that, so you could play whatever class you want. Yeah,
I don't want to be like a Twilight one.
The sparkly one. No.
The bedazzling one. I don't want to be that one.
No, they've got all sorts of cool classes. Yeah, it's a great system. It's really interesting, and you find out way too much about your friends.
Oh my gosh, I gotta try that.
That's a lot of fun. Song of Ice and Fire I've played a lot, and I love that it's politics heavy, and it does Song of Ice and Fire does politics like social combat.
Combat?
Yeah, so it's exactly the same as if you were rolling in combat, but it's for a conversation. So you have like persuasion skills and willpower skills, and if somebody beats you in social combat, they can literally change your character's mind.
Oh my god!
Which I find so cool as a mechanic in the system. Like it's a tricky system in some ways, and we homebrew a little bit just to round off the corners, but it's so fascinating and really cool to be part of that world.
Oh, then we say change their mind. Are we talking about like manipulative, or are we talking about legitimately changing your mind completely?
Either way.
Wow.
It depends on whether you're deceiving them or persuading them. They're 2 separate skills. I played a lot of Call of Cthulhu and Call of Cthulhu Dark Ages, which is really good fun. I played a very, very stupid lady called Lady Alice, who she had amazing, like she was hugely attractive but dumb as a bag of rocks, and that in role play is so much fun to play because she was sort of like Joanna Lumley, but like she'd been dropped on her head repeatedly, and she was very literal. My favorite line of hers was once somebody went, "Oh, what brings you here, my lady?" And she went, "Oh, it was a horse."
Very literal.
Like there's something so wonderfully freeing in a horror campaign playing somebody who has no clue what's going on.
That's great. Yeah, that would be
like
true.
Bleeding from the eyes, and she was like, "Congratulations, you're a woman now."
Oh my god. Oh
It
my
just makes me
God.
happy. And that was in the middle of lockdown, you know? Who doesn't want that levity? Are you all right?
I don't know how your campaign people would be like straight faced throughout the whole game.
It was a battle every day, but they were equally funny. Like, this was technically a horror campaign, but the DM knew exactly what he was doing. He put those people together. He brought it on himself.
Have you ever DM'd a campaign yourself
No.
or no?
No. I've like I mentioned, I've got really bad ADHD, and the thought of having to focus on that many things simultaneously just ruins me. Like, all the things that, I mean, it's all stuff that makes me good at my job in the booth. Like hyper focusing on one thing and blocking everything else out. But yeah, much as I would love to be that person who can now swan in and be like, yeah, and I'll be a DM in real life. I've got way too much respect for the people who do that than to ever attempt. Like, nobody would have a good time.
Wow.
Nobody would have a good time in that game.
Yeah,
I'm a player. I'm a player. I just want to roll some dice, you know?
Yeah, me too. I would totally agree. I totally agree with that. You know, it's funny. Like, I've never finished. I've like, it's funny. I love Baldur's Gate, but I have never played a D&D campaign, and I've never played. The only campaign I've ever played was a game called was Starfinder. I think it was like Pathfinder, but it was Starfinder. It's the one in space. Yeah, and I loved it. I loved it. We never finished it, and but like I've been like saying to my friends, like, dude, let me know when you do a D&D campaign, because I would love to try playing again, because like experiencing it.
Do you feel like you would find the character roll up easier now that you've played Baldur's Gate?
You know, it's funny because like I don't the character roll up sheets are actually not as bad to me. I love creating the characters. I love like you know, the background characters, and then setting up the you know, their points and like their synopsis of like why they're doing it or why they're so crooked or extra and whatever. But it's just the campaign sometimes. It just usually, like, every time I try to start it, it either fizzles out or just
it's
never
hard to find
consistent.
that right group. It happens, like, and a lot of it is situational. You know, it's the common GM complaint. I think anybody who runs a show like that, like comparing diaries and getting people to commit to a regular thing, it's really rough. Even in established groups, like,
oh yeah,
that's just a thing.
Especially when you're grown up too, and you have responsibilities and jobs and stuff. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
exactly.
Ruining all my fun. Why wasn't I into this when I was a kid?
I know, right?
It would have been so much easier.
Oh, but and, how much of you, like you yourself, do you put in the roles that you play in the booth?
Ooh, that is an interesting question. I think every role I play is an aspect of me turned up to 11. Yeah, I think that's the best way, because you have to be able to relate to a character, right, to bring it to life. Otherwise, you're just doing a cartoon of a person. Whereas I tend to play sort of more emotionally rounded, complicated, because I've got a psychology background, so that's where I will always come into characterization. But yeah, I tend to play more complicated characters than that. And if you can't find a way of getting into their heads and like believing that that person is making the right choices, then you're not going to be able to bring them to life. You're not going to do them justice, I guess.
Well, I mean, I love like one of your characters, Malady in Ritual Sid too. Like so many like quips and stuff like she had said, like the she just like quick. It just seemed like she's a quick on her feet kind of situation.
Yeah.
On that. So like when you were in that mode, when you were voicing her, like did you just say, okay, is this me in this situation? If I was her in this situation, this is what I would do, or is this like kind of like you know, it's
Melody's a hard one to answer that for, because Melody is basically me with crazy amounts of power. Like, Melody is the first character I voiced that felt like me, that I could really relate to in a way, and that kind of snarky. It's the first script I've had where I've just gone, I know exactly how I want to read that, and I really hope they'll let me. I wasn't sure until I got in the booth. And funnily enough, that was directed by Josh, who you hear me talking to in some of the outtakes videos, who directed me for a whole bunch of Baldur's Gate 3 as well. Malady is snarky and takes no shit, and I like her because Larry keep doing this with me. They cast me as women that you can't sleep with, but you have to engage with in order to further the plot. Like, you can ignore me if you want, but you're staying on that fucking island, mate, until you learn to just have some humility. I think she stops players having too much main character syndrome.
That makes sense. She's a good assist character, or secondary character that's not pulling away from the main story of it. But but you were terrific in that role. I definitely loved her. Yeah, she was really good.
I missed her. I love playing her.
Maybe
I want to play her more. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. And I mean, your voice in general, you have a very distinct, powerful, very powerful voice. I would say it's pretty. I'd say it's pretty rare to see pretty rare to hear a woman at this kind of level, with that kind of octave and that kind of scale. I mean, yeah. How hard? I was kind of wondering. I didn't know if I wanted to ask this directly, but I was like. But how hard? I mean, was it harder for you to kind of get roles because of it? Because I think you sound like a leading person in that kind of role, because I'm she would be either the villain of something that would be perfect or she could be something like that. Yeah, something memorable.
Yeah.
Is it how your trek of trying to get these kind of roles? How much of a task was it for you to kind of get in?
I think this kind of thing illuminates the voiceover industry, honestly, because there are two different sets of thinking and two different types of roles. My tone is incredibly memorable, but that does mean that I'm not going to get cast as much. I don't have as much versatility. I'm not a parrot. I do 3 accents and that's it. I could sit and learn more, but I know where my skill set is. This is it. And it's castable. I get cast as a lot of roles that were originally written for men, say, when they want somebody they're we need more women in this. Oopsie, we wrote too many men again.
They've done that before? They've switched?
Oh, yeah. Loads.
Oh, nice.
They just gender flip the role and go, I'll see what Millie can do with it. And I've played a whole bunch of characters like that. But then you have people like my other half is a voice actor as well, and he is an incredible parrot of a person. He can do so many different voices and accents, and I think he works way more than me because he's versatile. I don't have that. I'm too memorable in a way. My tone makes me notable, and I think unless that's used carefully, it can kind of pull people out of the game experience.
Oh, okay. But what if it wasn't necessarily gaming itself, though? I mean, I could see being an antagonist, antagonist of the story of something. They could make a role, they make a role for you. Oh wow, this it's oh my god, did you hear her say this line? It's we gotta make her the bad guy.
You are unprepared. I haven't actually played out and out villains before. I usually play characters that seem like they might be villains when you first meet them, and then you slowly get to know that there's more under the hood and there's complexity and there's logic and sympathy there. But this year I have played 2 roles, one particularly, that are just the biggest pieces of shit you have ever met in your life. Just an atrocious person. And I won't even say an atrocious human being because she's a vampire. She is the most awful character I have ever read in my life, and I had so much fun bringing her to life. It's from a game called Nighthawks, and she's just awful. Just scenery chewing bitch, and I had so much fun.
I can do that. The bad guy always get the funnest roles, so I swear.
Yeah, I had a ball.
Oh man! Oh no! Well, I'm just gonna. Yeah, I'll be your cheerleader to try to get you. So because that's. I mean, They have to hear it. It was like your voice in your narration voice, let alone, which we'll come up to in a minute, but like just the subtlety, the subtlety and darkness, like it was just nice dark tone while it's just nice and subtle, but it was just soothing enough to be like to make the story go, to go along. And I'm just like, wow, this is perfect narration in my opinion. Towards you. That. Yeah, that's why I was like, oh man, I gotta find a way to talk to her. Talk to you. I would love to talk to her.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Have you played a Dark Urge yet?
I'm not. I'm actually I'm there, but no, I have not. I have not yet though. I'm waiting for my friend. Yeah. I'm looking.
Is a different style of narration.
Really?
It's still me.
Oh my God.
But you will notice some definite differences.
Oh God!
And that's all I'm gonna say. If you thought it had a dark tone to it before,
I will let you know when I get there. And I'll be like, oh my God, that's freaking crazy.
The thing we wanted to do all the way through it was have, no matter what kind of character you played, I am your dungeon master. I am the voice in your head. I'm not somebody outside judging your choices. I'm with you and I'm approving of your choices, and I'm kind of like, okay, apart from when you roll a 1, in which case I will mercilessly mock you. But each, I think we ended up with 16 different narration styles.
16? Oh my God.
Not like the whole script, but for particular moments and particular choices for each character. And if you're playing as like Lae'zel, you get a different style of narration to if you're playing Dark Urge or Astarion or Shadowheart or Will. Everybody's got their own slight subtle difference, and then there are the moments when the tadpole is influencing you, and that goes a little more dark and smirky and manipulative. If you've got a patron, say like a fey patron is very light and bouncy and fairy, whereas a hellish patron is, it's more devilish. And we ended up with 16 different styles of reading. So depending on the choices you make, you have a different dungeon master, which I really love.
So does it get dark? Like, so let's say theoretically, if I was going like a full dark path, like does the tone of your narration goes kind of goes with you too, like to that level, or does it still kind of wave in the middle until you like?
Oh no.
No.
No, for Dark Urge particularly, I'm with you at the beginning. Like, I am you. I'm with you. So yeah, you've got a dark passenger with you for the entire of that playthrough.
I love this game so good.
And I had a ball with that because it's such a different style of voicing. It was very like if I was doing the narration for Astarion, say there was that hint of predatory, but it was kind of playful. Dark Urge, we just got rid of the playful. Like I just want to tear the world apart. Like there's like animalistic, and it was really cool to just bed down in that and see what came out, because some of the stuff I'm describing is.
Oh no! Okay, I definitely got.
Yeah,
okay,
send me an email when you.
I will definitely send you an email when I do. Oh my God! And by the way, which congratulations on being like one of the pieces of making Baldur's Gate 3 like an incredible experience. And I know we've talked about it before, but like, did you expect this game to blow up the way it has?
That's really hard to answer. I think the closer it got to the game being released, the more aware I was of what a big deal it would be. And I knew it's basically D&D the game. So I knew that would be a big deal. I didn't realize it would be this big a deal. And you're never quite sure, I think, while a game's still in development, how successful that will be. And it's a hell of an undertaking what Larian have done. I think it's a testament to what they do and how they do it. That people's opinions of early access and people's opinions now, it's just as enthusiastic. They've got this fantastic way of making the players part of the process of development, rather than just going, it's early access, okay, now it's out. And the like the panels from hell they were doing, I love that they show that warts and all. Like if sound problems happen. There's no, they don't try to be anything other than what they are. And I've been working for them for a long time now, and I can categorically say they are just as much fun in real life as they appear to be from the side. Like,
that's what I was like, yeah. Just wondering, because like when you see like the CEO in the full mail of armor and then just trying to promote I guess like fun. I just imagine them just doing that even off the camera. That he would be doing that too in a way. He did. Oh wow, I'm not surprised.
I mean, they're all so much fun, and it shows in the writing, it shows in everything, and that kind of. It's so rare to see that in a video game company. I think when people are like, "When's it out? When's it out?" for somebody to just go, "When it's ready." Like, that's great. I think we need more of that. Just the brutal honesty of the video games industry. It's happening more now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just think it's a little bit tough. Smile, right? Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think the problem is that the industry is so closed off because of they're worried about, because they know. I mean, I'm not talking bad about like gaming community itself, but rather the like when the person gets a date, or the regular gaming community really like will get to you if they don't get what they want in that game. So they've just naturally kind of shelled up, and now when you see a company like Larian, which Larian has been fairly transparent from the most part of this game, to do it kind of opposite to what everyone else is doing it. It's like, okay, it's like, okay, it's possible. But you got
it's possible. It's just really scary.
It's just really, really scary. It's like you're exposed a little bit. Exactly. Yeah. That's just what it is.
And it takes a lot of trust, I think, within the company for something like that to happen. Like, Larian is special. I've said it before. There's some weird kind of magic that goes on with that lot, and it shows. It shows. Like, some of these characters in this game, I've never seen that kind of delicacy and intricacy in a character before, and they're broaching some topics that I think really hit home with people. You know, Astarian's story, or Karlak's story, or Will's story. Like, everybody can relate to something that one of these characters has gone through, and I think that's why people are just so in love with them, and why there's so much of this incredible fan art. God, I'm jealous of the fan art. There's me as a disembodied voice, just like, that's a lovely picture of Karlak. Well done, Samantha Bayard.
Oh no, that's so
but it makes sense, right? Like, when people relate to a character on such a visceral level, when they feel like a company has heard them and is telling a story that they needed to be told publicly, because, you know, some people aren't ready to explore that in real life, or when they're giving you options surrounding like appearance or gender identity or whatever. Like, some people aren't ready to explore that in real life now. Yeah. And this allows them to feel seen, or allows them to explore a plot line that they maybe need to explore eventually on their own. But right now, this is the first step. I just think that's such an incredible gift. God, that sounds twee, doesn't it? But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. It's perfect. It was perfect. And I mean, and was it like overall throughout your experience making this game though too, was it difficult to find the voice itself of being the narrator? I mean, you said you were going through 16 different tones of it, but I mean, I just imagine they'll be like, yeah, you know, try the tweaking levels of what you're trying to do. Just must have been maddening sometimes.
Well, we couldn't know. Weirdly, it's sort of evolved on its own. Because when we first did the recording for early access, it was all much closer to the kind of tadpole reads that we've ended up with for the final release. So it felt very outside, like a DM sort of cocking their hip and smirking and being, oh dear, you rolled really badly. Oh, let's see what happens when you touch that. Oh dear. It was I think the direction I was given initially was Scar from The Lion King, that kind of like, oh no. And that was fun, but I think for the course of a game this long, that would have been exhausting for players. Like, that's being dommed essentially for 200 hours. That's a lot. You need a breather and a wellness check-in a couple of times during that. I think they made completely the right call to bring some light and shade to it. So that tone ended up only being used when we were being deliberately manipulative. I think in real life D&D campaigns and any kind of tabletop campaign, really, it's sort of the cardinal sin to tell a player how to feel or what to think. You want your players to feel like they've got control over parts of their lives and their character is theirs. So you don't ever really want to take that away. So the moments that we were doing that, we felt it was very important to make it obvious that we know we're doing this to you. Yes, you are out of control. Yes, you are thinking this. You are deliberately being manipulated. We recognize that. Just relax. This is supposed to be happening. You'll get control back in a minute.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's actually kind of thinking like the way in my mind, like the way how the narration works, it feels that the narrator really is the worm that's in your mind that's making you go through all of this, you know, and it's just like it's all in your head throughout the whole process.
I think for parts of it, that was definitely the vibe we were going for, like the manipulative moments when you're using the parasite for sure. And that was very deliberate. But the rest of the time, I'm just kind of like the voice in your head that you've always had there. Just somebody who understands you, because I'm there for a purpose. I don't think many people have burrowed down into exactly when it happens, but the narration in this game only happens when there's something that you can't visibly see. So I'm explaining something you're thinking or something you're feeling or smelling or something you remember. The rest of the time, I shut the hell up.
Yeah. Sure.
Which is kind of what a real life dungeon master would be doing, because they would set the scene and describe the stuff that you can see as you walk into a room. But I don't need to do that in this because you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm only describing the things you need. It's a tool. I'm the voice in your head.
I like that. I like that. I love some of the parts though. Like I think like one of the things was I guess it's not really a spoiler, but like when you meet the an owlbear, and then you just and then you go through that whole little routine and just how you're so monotonely, like it's actually kind of eerie because he's like, oh, his mom died. Oh, what? He's just eating it. He decides starts eating her, and I'm just like, oh my god. It's like
that was the really fun bit, like figuring out which bits we were going to push and make a big deal about, and which bits we were going to just sit back and make it as undescriptive as possible and let the words do it. So unless you're Dark Urge, anything that's sort of body horror tends to be a bit more flat and not quite monotone, but I'm not dining out on those words because they don't need to be pushed. It's almost creepier if you're just like, you can see inside, oh look, a rib. Like this happens every day. Like it's just casual. Like you did this, you monster.
It's just like if you don't acknowledge the horrendousness that you're seeing before you, and you just make it like it's like a Tuesday, then it makes it makes it worse. Yeah. You're totally
Doesn't
right.
That make the listener feel so much more uncomfortable?
It really does. You've done that a lot in this.
Yeah, me and Josh played around with that a lot, like how to tweak things so that we're not trying to tell somebody how to feel, but the read style will just instinctively make you feel uncomfortable at times. That was really fun to play with.
And I mean, I know that there had to have been times that were like very crazy that you just had to read and was there like any moments during your session you had to pause and compose yourself to read any of the lines, or just nothing that crazy?
No, never.
What?
Never.
Wow.
I've never done. I was a consummate professional. I did everything in one take. There was no laughing, no fun. I definitely don't have 4 videos of outtakes, and God knows how many more to.
Those outtakes
edit.
were lies, all lies.
Yeah, it was all acting. Yeah, I don't mess up. Don't be stupid. Yeah, we laughed a lot during those sessions because I mean, come on, if you come up against a word with 4 apostrophes in it, or you have to describe like a tentacle doing things, or a sentence with the word tug and meat in the same, like, I'm sorry, I'm too juvenile to deal with that. I have to be able to laugh, and it was so much text as well. We were reading so much, and the sessions went on for so long. I think that levity, that sense of fun really helped bring it to life. Like, it kept the energy going in those sessions. And it weirdly didn't affect the word count. It didn't affect like how long the sessions took.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because you get energy from that kind of thing. If you're just reading off a spreadsheet, like the reads are going to end up being a bit flat and a bit exhausted, and you'll just copy rhythms over and over again, you know? Whereas if you're having fun, you've got the energy to play with it and just enjoy yourself. So while there were a lot of outtakes, I think it helped in a weird way.
That is actually kind of funny. Like I have one of my favorite things to check out on your was your TikTok. You definitely check out her TikTok. It's freaking hilarious. And on her YouTube too. But was the Baldur Gate 3 outtakes, and like, you must have, like, I just think to myself, I'm like, man, you must have had like incredible foresight to share these to everyone. Like to decide to keep them yourself. I mean, did you record them yourself, or was that something that Larian did? Oh, you did yourself?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so I recorded all of Baldur's Gate 3 from my home studio. So I was linking up with the directors live. They were directing me live, and I would record at my end and then send them the audio. And we got to, I think it was the beginning of 2021. And I dropped the Larian people a message, and I was just like, can I do something with all the outtakes? Like, they're really funny. Are you going to do something with that, or can I do something? And they were like, no, go for it. And I was trying to be so like super professional about it. And, you know, well, of course I'll send you copies so that you can proof them before they go live, and you can tell me to adjust edits or do whatever you need. And they just went, no, we trust you. Like, oh, okay. I guess I'd better be really careful not to mess up then, huh? Oh, it's just so unheard of for a company to have that level of trust in an actor. I definitely felt the weight of that trust. Like,
Wow.
I don't want to make them regret that. So I'm very careful, and I'm a very picky person anyway. So I will always try my best to make them good. But I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting the reaction I got, for sure.
There was just a lot of spots that were just like you were saying, with like 4 apostrophes in one word and stuff. Like, it's just like how you come across it and how you react towards some of these things. It's just they're priceless. And I was just like,
that's
wow,
real me, right? Because the dungeon master is so in control, no matter what tone of voice we're using for her. She's sort of this omnipotent being who knows exactly what's going on and has all the power. And that's not me. I'm an idiot. I'm the one who's laughing at the words tug and meat. I'm an infant in a 42-year-old body. Yeah,
it's such a great.
So
I loved it. No, I mean,
honestly,
like, I'm sorry.
No, it's made the process of doing all the interviews and stuff for this so much easier. Because I think before I was worried that I would have to be something. I would have to be, you know, worthy of this dungeon master, whatever that means. Whereas having a bunch of people just go, you are funny, we like you, right before something this monumental happens is, that's really heartening. That's made me feel like I've found my people, and I don't have to be afraid to be me. You know,
honestly, that's good. That's great. It's even better though. It also makes it a better. I say it's a better interview when you're actually it's straight up instead of having put a facade on.
Yeah, for sure. Because you can hear it, right? You can hear all the NDAs and I must hit this talking point and this talking. Like, it's nice to not have to pretend.
it's funny because like we used to a long time ago, we used to go to conventions, and then we always got invited to these certain kind of junkets. And I'm not saying who or we talk to, but more like when you have to talk about something specifically that they're just talking about the project itself. It got a little bit tiring, and I was just like, you know what, I don't want to do these anymore. I just like, because everyone does the same thing. It's the same. So I'd rather I like having this kind of scenario where I was able to reach out, chill, and discuss. I just like, I think it's more it's more homely than it is naturally. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess I've got all that to look forward to. Conventions and stuff. Convention season is nearly upon us.
At this point in time nowadays, like convention, I don't think convention season ever leaves at this point. There's always a convention every weekend.
But I've never been to one before where people really gave a shit who I was.
Oh,
so this is going to be weird. Like all of us, like the main cast for Baldur's Gate 3 are going to rock up to London Comic-Con together.
Oh yeah.
What's that going to be like? I'm just so grateful I get to go through this with a pre-built team of people, you know, where we're all going through this together. Because if I was on my own, this would be terrifying.
That is very true. That's a good point. Well, hopefully when you make it to the States, I hopefully will be there. Probably there to cover and stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty nice. And also, like, I've seen you, like, not you yourself, but I've seen you, like, see streams of Baldur's Gate 3 itself. Do you have a personal favorite, like, class or race in the game itself?
Ooh, I think I've really enjoyed just watching people playing all the different ones, to be honest. I don't have a preference as far as watching is concerned. I will always, like, prod, especially my really nice friends. I will prod them in the direction of Dark Urge just to see the reaction, because I'm an awful person, and that's a side of me I don't get to show very often, and I just want to see their reactions, honestly. But I think if I'm playing, I would probably go either Bard or Druid.
Yeah, okay.
Because I like I usually play quite high social scores characters, so that feeds into the bards. But druids are a hell of a lot of fun. I'm playing one of those in my offline campaign at the moment.
I haven't played one yet, but like I've seen people play it, and they're all turning into different kinds of animals and stuff. I'm like, man, this looks like fun. So. Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to exploring all that.
Oh wow!
But it's a great introduction, I think, because I was really worried. I hadn't played D&D before my role in this game was announced, and I felt like a bit of a fraud because I played a lot of tabletop but never D&D. So I'm sort of playing catch up now and learning about the system and getting comfortable with all that sort of thing. For me, character roll up is always a very I'm not like you. I find it quite scary and intimidating to roll up a character. Once I've got the character, I can just drop into them like that. But until then, the decision-making process I find quite stressful. So I think this game will help because I'll get to play in a kind of consequence-free environment and see if I like a class, see if I like a certain spell.
That's fair.
Make a decision that way.
Well, do you when it's the time when you had to create your character, like how long would you say it takes you to make
forever.
a character on the table? Like it.
Yeah, I'll be one of those people who's in character creation for like 4 hours, just like the eyebrows are not right. Yeah, because I like to build characters' personality first, and then pick the skills that make sense for that personality. I'm not a min-maxer. I don't create a character just to win fights.
Right.
I'll create a character with flaws and like dumb skills that are just fun. You know, like I'm playing a centaur druid at the moment in one of my offline campaigns, and she gets a musical skill as part of her roll up. I've deliberately made her shit at it because that's funnier.
So there's always all the decision making. There's a reason for everything that you put for that character.
Yeah, I want it to make sense as a character, to be fun and be a bit different rather than just something with really good stats.
Like a mage that doesn't know how to use magic very well.
Yeah.
Like that.
You say that. I'm my other character at the moment is a tabaxi thief. So imagine like tiny little cat person. She has incredible thievery ability, but there's another person in our group who's also playing a thief, and I didn't want our campaign to be us just repeatedly getting kicked out of towns because we stole everything. So I thought it would be more fun if that character got to do a lot more thieving, and my character was almost in rehab for stealing. Like, she'd got in loads of trouble for it so many times before. She didn't want to ruin things. So every time we are around something that's enticing, shall we say, I'm rolling to see how enticing she finds that and how able to resist she is, which is so much juicier, right? Like,
that does give a different angle.
I don't need it. I don't need it.
Just jonesing it for it.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That's so much more fun for everybody.
That it's hilarious. I do love that. All right, and my final question to you is, what is one of the funniest or weirdest voice lines that you could remember doing? Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be Baldur's Gate, but like just whatever. Anyone.
Some of them I can't talk about yet. There were some cracking ones in Nighthawks that I can't talk about yet. There have been some excellent ones in Hades too, which I can't talk about yet. Baldur's Gate 3. I think some of my favorites are either the fourth wall breaking ones, where you do something really dumb in a town and I'm just like, you're an idiot. Why have you done that? Stop it. The ones where it's clearly the dungeon master just calling you an idiot.
Just out of character completely.
Yeah, just like, oh God.
It's like
sense of just massaging her temples, like, oh, why am I running this campaign with these people?
This was a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's like
one of my favorite ones though. There is a brothel that I don't want to spoil it too much. There is a brothel, and there is an option there that you would not expect to be in a brothel, and it's the funniest thing. I love it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But you're totally right.
Why would anybody ask for that? But it's so unexpected. It's perfect. Yeah, I laughed for a long time recording that one.
Oh God, that's great. That's great. Amelia, it was a pleasure talking to you. I really appreciate you geeking out with me today. But also, I would love for you, if you could be able to let the folks know, like, what's your TikTok or YouTube that people could check you out and see your outtakes.
My TikTok, I'm on TikTok as the Amelia Tyler.
Oh, so you know when it's serious when it's you have a the in front of it.
Well, I had to because there was another Amelia Tyler. This is what happens. Like, none of my usernames are the same. Annoyingly, I'm just Amelia Tyler on Twitter, and I am continuing to call it Twitter. I'm up on Cameo if you want a personalized message. I do that. I'm on Instagram, and just you can find me. You can find me. I'm around.
Yes, thank you, Amelia. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Nice talking to you too. All
right, and guys, thank you, folks. Once again, if you love this interview, we also check out the rest of the other interviews that we've done in the past. Go check out our YouTube page, the CFG, and also go to our website, confreaksandgeeks.com, for some more awesome content. So, once again, this is Davis signing off. Y'all, take it easy.